The 2024 Lok Sabha election is going to be extremely important. While the citizens fight on the issues of unemployment, equality, inflation, and education, it is also an interesting political battle. Will Prime Minister Narendra Modi win the third term? Has the BJP lost its charm? Is the India alliance significant? Will India again have a free and fair election, as the critics fear? What would the results of the election mean for the country? Let us talk about these issues with well-known author and economist Parakala Prabhakar. He's the author of a highly acclaimed book about the Modi regime, The Crooked Timber of India, Essays on a Republic in Crisis, and also the husband of Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. Firstly, thank you so much for doing this with us. It's a pleasure to have you here with Daily Salar. And now, so that we have completed 2 phases of the elections, and so much has already happened in just 2 phases. We firstly want to ask you whether we as a country are really turning into dictatorship, especially considering the reports and the publications of the international media also, because from 2018 we were electoral democracy to now in 2024 we have come down to worst of the autocratizers. So are we really going towards dictatorship?
I'm afraid so, yes. I'll give you some pointers. You just see. I'll go from the latest to I go back. Now, recently, after these elections have started in Surat, what happened? That the main opposition candidates' nomination papers were cancelled, and others have suddenly withdrawn. And the ruling by BJP's candidate was declared elected unopposed. And a few months before this, we had Chandigarh mayor elections, in which it was very clearly seen that the returning officer was manipulating the ballot. The Supreme Court had to intervene and restore democracy there. And a little before that, in the parliament, the government suspended over 140 members of parliament and passed laws. And one of the bills that they had passed at that time was, now after the electoral bond scam has surfaced, that we could see there is a connection between the spectrum allocation and the suspension of those so many members. And in the House of Parliament, a member had spoken in such undignified and unparliamentary language which was never seen in Indian Parliament ever, not even in the streets, about a fellow member of Parliament belonging to a different religion. And then, if you go back, you had seen several state governments dislodged by BJP by encouraging defections, by buying members of the assembly and destabilizing the governments and then establishing their own governments. And if you go a little further, you could see that, people who had been convicted of mass rape were released, and when they were released, when they came out, this happened on when we were in 2022, when we were about to kick off the celebrations of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. They were welcomed, they were garlanded, and they were felicitated. Now, if you see all these, and you had 3 very important legislations regarding agriculture, so-called farm laws. Because agriculture is such an important sector in our economy that the largest number of people, directly or indirectly, depend upon agriculture, and even our geography, a predominant portion of our geography is agricultural land. Agriculture is the main occupation. Those laws were passed without even 5 minutes of discussion. And when there was a protest, the kind of repression that was unleashed on the farmers, they were not allowed to come to the capital city, Delhi, to present a memorandum to the government. They were, firing lathi charge, and they were fencing around. even the Chinese were not stopped from entering our land mass with such force, but farmers were prevented from entering our capital, and they were called all sorts of names. And when after the protest just before the Punjab elections, when the laws were withdrawn, those laws were withdrawn again without any discussion. You see, in a democracy, what happens? Democracy is not just limited to going once in 5 years to a polling booth and casting your vote. But democracy is a form of government which is run by dialogue, by conversation, by dissent, by agreements, by expressing disagreements, by striking deals, by arriving at consensus, by convincing the other people, or otherwise you getting convinced by the other people. This is the process. But that process has nothing. I mean, there is no discussion on bills, there's no discussion on the legislation. So that is why.
The
Electorally, there's a
dialogue is one of the major things that we are talking
major
about.
things in democracy. Without dialogue, if you just confine it to limit it to only voting once in 5 years, that is no democracy. Not only that, Akshata, you see, you have election commission, which should be an impartial body. Earlier, we had the Supreme Court's involvement in it, and the government passed a new legislation. Supreme Court's role is completely eliminated, and government has the majority in the three-member committee, Prime Minister and the minister appointed, or anybody appointed by
Cabinet.
the Prime Minister. Then you have an election commission completely appointed in effect by the government. So how can you expect the election commission to be an impartial body? Now, if all these are taken together, how can we still call what is happening is a democratic way of life, democratic quality? And recently, just today, I saw in the newspapers that even after so many days after the first and second phase of polling, the Election Commission of India has not put up in their website what is the exact number of votes polled in each constituency. So tomorrow, they can inflate those numbers, and they can manipulate the numbers. So people are very, very suspicious of the democratic credentials of today's India.
And that's mainly causing us to wonder whether we are really turning into a dictatorship or not. Also, so when we talk about first thing, let's talk about election commission itself. There was a very inappropriate speech given by the Prime Minister of the country, which we had never seen before. And it took Election Commission a while to respond to that when the hate speech was very evident. And even after that, the Election Commission gave a notice to both the Congress as well as the BJP. What do you have to say about this, especially the hate speech and the Commission's reaction?
Yeah, even the reaction of the commission, they have not given a notice to the Prime Minister.
Yeah.
The one who really made the speech, they had given to the party president. You see, they were fighting shy of serving a notice on the Prime Minister, which means that the Election Commission is not an institution which is impartial and which is free from fear or favor. That's very evident, isn't it? So how do you see that as a democratic institution functioning? The elections are, and if this is the trend now, even before the elections are concluded, if the elections are concluded and if the present dispensation returns to power, I've been very apprehensive. I've been speaking and I've been warning everywhere that I speak that, India will not be a democracy and India will not see another free and fair election in this country
And
in future.
and you've also mentioned that if BJP comes to power, we will see a situation like Manipur across the country. What does that mean, and what do you mean by it?
You see, because Manipur is in the northeast, and generally people like you and me who are in the mainland, for us, Manipur is not a big part of our national political consciousness. Somewhere in the corner, Manipur kind of. And therefore, even though Manipur has been burning for the last more than 1 year, we are not just bothered. Oh, it's happening. It's happening. Internet is not available. No news comes from Manipur to outside into other parts of India. No news goes from there. This happened in before in Jammu and Kashmir when 360 was revoked.
2019.
Yeah. So, there is a huge communal clash there between two sections of people. And mind you, the state government is run by BJP. It is, in other words, a double engine sarkar.
Yeah.
BJP in center and BJP in the
BJP
state.
government.
When double engine sarkar is there, everywhere the BJP is canvassing, even in Karnataka, everywhere, double engine sarkar, it will help you. But, if you see double engine sarkar in Manipur, then you will know what it is. So they are fomenting violence, fomenting, clashes, communal hatred. And if this government is not punished for that, they would take it as people are accepting this. And they will do this in every state. No state will be safe from this kind of a politics and this kind of a design by the BJP. So that is the reason why I say two things very clearly. If this government, if this party returns to power, there will not be elections, free and fair elections in future. Second thing is the situation in Manipur. What is happening there will be replicated in every state. Please don't think that it is somewhere happening in Manipur. It won't happen in Karnataka. It won't happen in, Madhya Pradesh. It won't happen in Andhra Pradesh. It won't happen in Tamil Nadu or Bengal or Punjab. Everywhere it is likely to happen because that is the design
The
of the present
communal
government.
violence, because in
That's
Manipur we have ethnic clashes. Of course, that's a whole different reason, but the
yeah.
violence that perpetuated
Where
in the
where there are ethnic groups, there will be an ethnic conflict. Where there are communal groups, there will be communal violence. Where there are caste groups, there will be caste violence. Anything,
violence is going to happen among people, the common
it's
citizens.
violence between two sections of the people. It could be linguistic sections, it could be religious, it could be caste, it could be tribal, it could be ethnic, or whatever.
Also, so when we talk about these issues, do you expect that voters or common citizens, the revelation of the electoral bonds, the COVID-19, because our health crisis completely broke down and everybody suffered, even the ones who had the privilege to get the access, they suffered. Do you think this is going to affect the BJP's voter base, considering unemployment and basically one of the key problems of the election is unemployment among the youth? All these things are experienced by the voter base across the country. Is this going to affect the BJP's voter base then?
I think so. Um, uh, what my forecast is this. BJP had been steadily rising from 2%, 3%, 4%, 8%, 10%, 12%, but it peaked around 20, 21%. But things have changed in 2013-14 because the UPA 2 government was seen as mired in corruption. There were a lot of scandals. And there was a huge movement called the India Against Corruption movement. And a lot of middle class, educated people, urban people, professionals, they all got disgusted about this corruption. And then at that time, marketing of Gujarat model, marketing that there is a decisive leadership, and with the social media, advertising, slick messaging, and all that, with all that came an and this section that I talked about, the middle class, the professionals, the urban, the educated, this class has gravitated towards that alternative. Now, they have seen this for about 10 years. And at that time, the vote percentage from 21%, 21%, it has gone up to about 27%. There was an addition of about 6 to 7%. Now, after seeing the performance of the government, after seeing the COVID failure, unemployment, not able to deliver on the promise of bringing black money back, not able to deliver the promise of,
Sustain that.
everybody will get a house or roof over their head, and doubling of farmers' income, and so many things, and a lot of attractive slogans like "Make in India," "Stand Up India," Skill India, and all those things, they all have flopped now. And in addition to that, after the electoral bond scandal has broken out, the details have come out, everybody now knows BJP has indulged in the worst form of corruption. In fact, government has become an extortionist agency, used IT, CBI, and ED and GST to get money out of, suck money out of the businesses. And, they have also made this donation thing a very opaque, non-transparent thing, and they resisted the Supreme Court. After seeing all this, the additional vote that has gone to BJP since 2013-14, those sections that I've mentioned, they are now disillusioned. Therefore, they will fall back to their original 20-21%, which means that the BJP will find it very difficult to touch to
The
the
mark.
to 230, 220 to 230, 210, 230. That is the range. They will stop. That is my forecast.
Also, one of the things that we saw with report here with the voters, and as per the people survey, specifically in Karnataka and across, I feel that we see is though the people are not happy with the work of BJP, they still see Prime Minister as a Prime Minister face as Narendra Modi. They still say that if not Modi, then who? And that's one of the major factors why BJP is still able to access more votes, though there are complaints regarding the functioning of the government. What do you have to say about that, especially in terms of the election, because people still favor Narendra Modi as Prime Minister?
Akshita, what happens is, if you look at somebody who is holding an office, who is in power, they look invincible. They look irreplaceable. As long as they're in power, you can't imagine anybody other than that person to continue. When Vajpayee was the prime minister, whoever thought that, somebody else can really replace somebody like, a great man like Vajpayee? That happens. That is one. The people get into some kind of an illusion. But, if you look at this election as Modi versus who, or BJP versus which party, or NDA versus which alliance, then you get into these, nobody is appearing, etc. But then the correct way of looking at this election is it is Modi government versus the people of India. If that is the case, nobody, no leader, no prime minister, no political party, or no alliance is stronger than the people of India. So it is the people of India who are going to defeat. And as a byproduct, somebody, some party, some leader might benefit out of it.
Yeah.
Coming to your Karnataka thing, I don't think that the Congress had defeated BJP in Karnataka. BJP was defeated with the people of Karnataka, and Congress got benefit out of it. I mean, that
That
is
was
my
the
reading.
alternative option available to people.
Exactly. So, it is not a vote for Congress, rather than it was a vote against the BJP, that 40% circle. Of course, there was a huge effort. But more than the political party effort, I noticed that in Karnataka, there is a huge effort by the civil society organizations. A lot of civil society organizations, a lot of individuals have worked and had seen to it as ensured the defeat of the BJP government in
There was a lot of
Karnataka.
activism involved from the people's side as
And
well.
that is what is happening throughout the country today. That's what I see.
And that's the reason why you see that even though there is the wave of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, but it might not sustain completely for the BJP to get in power.
Yeah, that's true.
Also, do you think that India Alliance is serious on a trail? How do you see their alliance working out?
Well, you see, that alliance is a problem, and NDA alliance also has a problem. Every alliance has a problem, every political party has a problem, every leader has a problem. But as I said, I see this election as Modi government versus the people of India. People of India have no problem. People of India are very clear. Youth are very clear because there are no jobs. Farmers are very clear because they are in terrible distress. And the data that you see, Akshita, Indian household savings are at an all-time low of 5%. Indian household debt is at an all-time high of 40%. The Reserve Bank of India data tells us that the gold loan taken by normal people is in excess of 1 lakh crores in the last financial year. Yeah.
That's
You
really
see, the latest data tells us that the gold loans by the normal people, by the normal households, is in excess of 1 lakh crores. That is the RBI data. Now, RBI data is limited to the formal banking sector. Now, if the formal banking sector, the gold loans are in excess of 1 lakh crore. Now, if you add the informal sector like the pawnbrokers and money lenders and all that, it could be even in the range of excess of 2 lakh crores, even more. Now, the household debt is so high, including the gold loans and other things. Household savings is so low. Unemployment is so high, especially the youth unemployment, Akshita, today stands at the 24%, which is one of the highest in the world.
and among that are
And
educated youths, the
yes,
highest
and
one.
ILO report had said that of the total unemployed, 83% are young people, and of them, 63% are educated unemployed. Now, last year, the entire allocation for Manrega, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme or Act, the entire allocation was exhausted in just about 6 months' time, which means there is a hunger for work. There's no work in the rural areas. Inflation is so high, especially food inflation is so high, people are not able to afford even day-to-day necessities. Petrol has gone up, diesel has gone up, everywhere the gas cylinders has gone up. Everything has gone up. And you know, in addition to that, on top of that, you have corruption. You have, so much of hatred that is spreading in this society. All these things, I think, are going to really take a toll on the government, and the people are decisively going to punish the government and the prime minister for all this.
Also, sir, we have spoken about the election. Now, if we could predict of what's going to happen after the election. First, let's say if the BJP comes to the power. Uh, of course, you've clearly stated many things about it, that if they come to power, we might not have a free and fair elections. There might be increase in communal violence. And one thing we want to ask is that your wife Nirmala Sitharaman, she said that if they come back to power, they will bring back electoral bonds. What do you have to say
You see,
about that?
it is not a question of a personal and family and names and all that. That's not the subject. We are focusing on the larger issue of the government and the democracy and republic and the constitutional values and corruption, employment, price rise, and other things. I think we should concentrate on that. Now, you see, about the electoral bonds, Akshita, my points are the following. The Supreme Court has declared that electoral bond scheme is unconstitutional. Now, when the Supreme Court says that it is unconstitutional, I have so far not heard from the Prime Minister down to anybody in the government or in the ruling party, even formality's sake also, saying that we respect the judgment of the Supreme Court.
In this case, so yes, we have never heard that.
They have not said it. Normally, any political party, any political leader would say after a court verdict, we respect the court verdict. This has not been put up. The second thing is they are saying that we will reintroduce. After it was clearly told by the Supreme Court that the electoral bond scheme was unconstitutional. And if something is decided by the Supreme Court as unconstitutional, any government and any government leader with the minimum moral qualms would resign. They did not resign. The third thing is that the Prime Minister giving an interview to a Tamil TV called Tanti and later on to ANI had said those people who opposed electoral bonds will come to regret it. Pachtaenge, he said. Now, I want to ask, who will regret? Will the Supreme Court regret? Will the judges sitting on the bench which delivered this decision, they will regret? Will the Chief Justice of India regret? Who will regret? What is he saying?
Whom is he referring to?
And who is he referring to? Is he giving a dhamki? Is he threatening them? This is something which is mysterious. This is, I think, very unbecoming of a Prime Minister to say this kind of a thing. The normal expected, any civilized democratic Prime Minister would say, Supreme Court has said this, we put our argument before them, but they did not agree, and we respect it. That's what I would have expected. But this Prime Minister and this party and this regime is bizarre, to say the least. So, if you look at it from that point of view, I think this is a very, very unconstitutional, anti-constitutional, undemocratic, anti-democratic government in the history of India.
Also, when we talk about this, if we perceive that even if the BJP wins and they get a majority again, one thing is that, again, if they are able to win that 400 par is par, what does it mean for the party members? Because if they win with such a majority, and especially because BJP runs on the face of the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the whole campaign, he's the poster boy of the BJP. What does it mean even for the members of the same party? Because then their voice is also curtailed. They have less scope of voicing against the party, and we've seen their own members not getting maybe the same kind of respect that they would want. So what does that mean even for the party members if BJP comes to power with the majority?
As it stands today, BJP as an organization is finished.
Okay.
I mean, there's no BJP, there's no party, it's only Prime Minister. Now, can you imagine? In 2014, NDA was everybody used to talk about NDA. After that, they started talking about BJP. They forgot NDA. After a few months, they talked about only Modi and the Prime Minister. They didn't even talk about the party and the Gathbandhan. Now, slowly, if you see now, it's not NDA manifesto. It is not BJP manifesto. It is Modi guarantee.
Yeah.
Did you notice? Okay.
Yes.
I'll give you one more thing. Of the 70 or odd pages, 73 pages or so, 50 photographs of the Prime Minister. Can you imagine this? Where is the party? Whose guarantee is this? The BJP giving guarantee or is it an individual giving guarantee? That is. Okay, you have a popular leader. Vajpayee was also popular. Many people voted for.
BJP had a history of being the party and not making one face. Like at least during the Vajpayee time, they had that we don't want to make one person the poster boy.
Right.
And
that is gone now.
Yeah.
That is gone. That's completely changed now. Now there's nothing other than one individual. And I presume you are from Gujarat.
My native, yes. But I've
maybe
not been there.
You never lived there. Yeah. But you can imagine when Sri Narendra Modi was the chief minister, nobody knew who the other ministers of the cabinet were. Nobody knew who was the education minister. Nobody knew who was the power minister. Nobody knew any minister for that matter, or local administration minister or anybody. Today is the same thing. Nobody knows who are the other ministers. Nobody really bothers about any other ministers. No, it's everything is centered on the prime minister, on one man. He even sometimes it is surprising that like a station master, he is waving a green flag for a train. Everything he does. So that is the kind of situation we are living in. Therefore, within the BJP, other leaders are completely sidelined. They have no importance. Party has no importance. Party structure has no importance. The party president is almost, a non-entity. And even the organizations that mentored BJP, like the RSS, they are also completely downgraded. So it is nothing but one individual, and only one individual. Modi guarantee, Modi Sarkar, not BJP Sarkar, not BJP guarantee, not NDA, nothing. Absolutely. That is the state of affairs that we are in today.
And do you think that because of that one phase, the other problems of, let's say, the other ministers also, like, let's say, Brij Bhushan, things happening in Manipur, we are not able to pick the ministers. In fact, even till today in Karnataka, we had Prajwal Ravanna. He stood for the election. He was there. Because of that, because of the Prime Minister Modi's face, the other corrupt issues of the other ministers are getting sidelined.
See, Akshita, it's like this. If everything is done by one person, however efficient the others are, why will they take initiative? Because it's your government, your election, you win or you lose. Because even if you work and you win, the credit goes to one man.
Yeah.
So if that is the case, what's the point in me working? What's the point in making me taking any responsibility? So if that sets in, it has already set in. If that sets in, everything becomes weak. Now that you can see all over, because the government is run very inefficiently. Decisions are taken, wrong decisions are taken. Implementation of any decision is very inefficient. Disastrous decisions are being taken, like demonetization, the designing of the GST. The way COVID was handled, so many deaths. And then, of course, there is a lot of effort to cover up,
Yeah.
saying that, the situation is not that bad. They're changing the data, they're changing the basis of, counting things. For instance, Akshita, earlier it used to be if 1 kilometer of a 4-lane road is 1 kilometer of a 4-lane. Now, a 1 kilometer of a 4-lane road is 4 kilometers. Now they say that, we have increased the road laying.
Infrastructure development. Yeah.
By manipulating the numbers, not by really laying the road.
Makes sense. Also, so in case if we assume that the opposition comes to power, one of the things that we saw in these 10 years was that our central agencies, the usage of central agencies changed. And do you think will this continue? The pattern of this will continue? This
When
use
when
of
a government, when a regime, when a dispensation was punished in the elections because of all these, omissions commissions, then the people who come to power replacing them will be very, very careful, very, very responsible. They would not dare to do such things, because even a strong party, even a strong leader was severely punished. They'll be very afraid. They will feel that, people are very aware, they are very active, they are very conscious. They will not tolerate any mistakes by us. They punish them, they might punish us. So they will be careful.
just the fear of the people that might stop even
That's
the
very,
opposition
very
to not do it.
important.
And last question, sir. Since our voter turnout has been low in both the phases, and especially looking at the situations that happened in Surat and Indore also now, what would be your message to the voters?
No, you see, any election, whatever may be your intention, please come out and vote. This is not just a right, but this is your responsibility. Especially this election, Akshita, I would appeal to everybody to come out and exercise this franchise because it makes a difference whether India would remain a constitutional democracy or will turn into a Hindu Rashtra or a dictatorship both together. Now, if you don't exercise your vote and elect the right leadership and the right party, and if you don't punish the leadership and the government and the party that has brought India to this state of affairs, where 82 crore people are looking for a handout by the government, where the World Hunger Index we are at a very low, where the unemployment among the youth is one of the highest in the world, where inequality is also very, very high. And, there's a lot of rural distress. Lot of people are even prepared to go to Gaza and Ukraine to work because there are
No
work here.
jobs.
People are prepared to take up minimum wage jobs under Manrega because there's no other job. If this government is not punished, we will be sending a very wrong signal that whatever you do, nobody need to be really worried about it. That kind of a message will go. So therefore, you come out, exercise your franchise, punish this government. Who comes again? They will be careful because you have punished a government. This is my appeal to the voters.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, Akshita. Thanks a lot.